Okay, so I'm going to talk about the three key themes I think that we have covered. Okay, so I use AI. Okay, and I put all of our Padlet responses into ChatGPT, and I say, what are the three main themes? And okay, I did do some editing, but I think the main themes that came back was, okay, this one move out a bit, but the first one is chastity in marriage and relationships, same-sex attraction. That was one big bucket. Number two, it was about people were asking questions about discernment and commitment. And number three, people were talking about how to navigate relationships. So those were the three main themes based on the responses that you put inside the Padlet over the past 3 sessions. So how we're going to go about it is that we're going to spend 15 minutes looking at some of these themes. Okay? And these examples are actual questions that people put inside the Padlet. Okay, so we're going to explore some of those questions, and then we'll also have some time to pass, okay, in small groups, okay, about those questions and share some thoughts. So this is like really what ChatGPT told me to some extent. It said that young adults today, based on the Padlet, that's my source material, the reference, they are grappling with how chastity is lived out practically. I think this is quite true, okay? Both in single and married life, and especially in a culture that normalizes sexual activity before marriage. So these are all the questions that people ask inside the Padlet. So the AI takes it out and gives me the examples. So some people said, how far is too far? Does chastity need to exist in marriage? If two people are committed in a relationship, why do they still need to wait till they're married? And if the purpose of sex is procreation, does that mean that infertile couples should not engage in sex? So these were all the questions that people had, over the past 3 sessions. And this is what the church says. Okay, so I'm just giving you some thoughts about, where the Catholic Church stands on some of the issues. So the first thing that it says, and actually this all mostly comes from the Catechism or a few articles. Okay, the first one is that chastity is for all states of life. Okay, not just the unmarried, right? It's also about integrating your sexuality into your whole person and living it out in a way that reflects authentic love. Of course, it's quite a big thing, right? This entire statement, but I thought what was interesting is the words in pink. It is for all states of life. Okay, we can all practice chastity. The second one, which I thought was also interesting, marriage does not eliminate the call to chastity. Oh, when you're in a married, sort of relationship, oh, it's okay, chastity is like thrown out the window. But actually, what the church says, it reshapes it, reframes it. Okay, so married chastity means loving without lust, right? Domination or having that kind of human selfishness, right? So actually willing the good of the other, which is the main point anyway, right, of the whole book. Okay. And I think this is the one that a lot of people are like wondering about, and probably maybe you've witnessed it, right? Or you have a lot of like issues, with it, like, why? Okay. So premarital sex, as we know, right, contradicts the full meaning of marital love. So I mean, this is something I think that you will learn if you go for the course. And it says free, total, faithful, and fruitful. Okay, a love that is free, total, faithful, and fruitful. Okay, of course, you can delve a bit deeper into that. But if you make a commitment to somebody without the sacramental marriage, it lacks the bond which God has designed us for. It is covenantal bond. Okay, so there's a lot of very theological terms, okay, over here, but I just maybe want to just invite you, just for a minute or so, maybe just to look at, what the church says. You may disagree, right, with certain things. You may take issue with something. You may not be comfortable completely, but at least we do know where the Catholic Church stands, right, on these issues. And it's okay to feel discomfort. It's good to feel discomfort instead of just like, oh, I accept because I'm Catholic. I think it's important for us to actually go deeper to understand why and to talk and to understand where we are at currently. So this is from the CCC. Chastity includes an apprenticeship in self-mastery, which is a training in human freedom. So I think just now people were thinking of freedom, like responsibility limits my freedom. It limits my choices, limits my ability to live like a very full life. But actually, the converse is true. Actually, I think by being responsible and by making a commitment, I am free now, okay, to make, certain choices that lead to certain consequences. So this is basically 3 main points that are kind of come out from what the church says. And this is also interesting. Yeah, so someone asked this question in the Padlet. I thought it's also an opportunity for us to discuss, right? We're all young working adults, right? And interesting, like this is something that actually happens lah. Right? Sometimes you travel together, right, with your partner, and people don't know whether or not is it okay. So I think the fact that people are asking whether it's okay is like, they want to know whether they're contravening something, or or they're going on the wrong side or something. And there's also a sense of judgment, right? If you, will I be judged if I say that I travel together or something, right? Let's say with your significant other. How people think, or maybe I think it's okay. It's quite normalized, right? All of my friends, do that, and it's okay, and I feel all right. Right, so if you can see the different people, I mean, they are probably not bats and belugas and beavers lah. These are just randomly generated names, okay, to anonymize basically lah, okay. But I thought it was interesting to see what people had to say in response to the question. So this is actually other people in the Padlet who responded to the first person or the first poster, right? Who commented on this person's question, right? So they said, "You sleep separately, okay? Oh, of course, you guys get to bond." So it's different views, right? Some people think it's okay. And then Eager Beaver say it isn't morally wrong, but Eager Beaver just acknowledge opens many chances, right? So it puts you in certain positions where you may be more prone to sin, which is true lah. Those are the realities, right? Whether you can or you cannot do that in the moment, that is actually up to the person, right? But I think it's good that this person kind of mentioned that. Then Humble Snail, very good, can give like biblical references. I don't know how you just pull it out like that. Matthew 16:8 said, "Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe me to sin, you'll get the millstone," and all. I said, okay, it's good that the person, okay, who is it? Humble Snail, okay, came up with the biblical reference. So see, all of us are pulling from different places, right? Some of us refer to church documents, some of us refer to the Bible. We're trying to find somewhere to be like an authoritative source, right? So, and I think that's very evident from just this one question. Okay, but what Humble Snail said at the bottom was interesting. How much do I care about others around me? Is my call as a Christian a call to live in isolation, and as long as I'm not sinning, it's fine? So Humble Snail said that for this person, our call is to be part of the body of Christ. If we truly love God and our neighbor, we'll consider how our actions are signs of God's love. I think that's quite true. I do kind of see where Humble Snail is coming from, right? And then they say we'll think how traveling alone might cause other Christians to think it's okay. So the person thinking about the impact of my actions and people around me and how they might want to do or not do something in the future. So I thought just looking at the whole spectrum of responses shows that we all stand, in very different places. So I thought maybe we can spend 15 minutes, discuss in small groups, maybe these two questions before we go to the next theme. Yeah. So the first question is, how can we, if you can expand on the questions or you have some kind of thoughts, from the first few slides, how can we help each other in a relationship uphold chastity? Let's say if you are in one, or if you are discerning to be in one, you can talk about that. And number two, what habits or boundaries do you think protect love rather than restrict it? Okay, so I think we can give maybe 15 minutes discussion time. So maybe you can discuss in about, a few groups of maybe 4 to 5 people, on these two questions. Then we will go to the next team. That is, so you can start your discussion. Okay, that's, I think it was good discussion. Okay, for the first team. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next team. We'll still have this discussion time for the next team, but I think it's good that we are starting our conversations. Okay, the second theme that came out from the Padlet is the following, number 2. Okay, so number 2 was tested in a Kahoot. The first question was, what's the opposite of love? And some people put indifference, hatred, and lust. Okay, but I'm just going to call him Carol. Yeah, Carol. Right, for Carol, Carol. Okay, the whole, I think second chapter is about the contrast between use versus love and the struggles that we have with utilitarianism. Okay, so I think participants, referring to the people who filled up the Padlet, they expressed concern about objectifying others or being objectified. So it's not just a one-way thing, They are also concerned about being objectified sexually. I think that one we are quite familiar. Some people actually said emotionally. What is emotional objectification? Maybe something you can discuss with your group, or even professionally. I think the person is talking about professional settings and how to avoid using others. I don't know, maybe whether you can be objectified in a professional sense. We don't know. We can discuss that. Okay. How to avoid using others while still engaging meaningfully with them. So these are still all questions that people put inside the Padlet. First one is, when is mutual use okay? Okay, well, I say, okay, man, well, that's an interesting question. And they said using each other's expertise at work. Then I'm like, okay lah, correct lah. Go to work, you got expertise, I got expertise, we bring come together, work on project lah. But okay, that was interesting. Okay, or maybe you can also broaden it lah into other ways of objectifying people. It's one thing to be loved by others using them. Very interesting question. It's one thing to be loved by others using them. Like using them in what sense? Like I will ask this person. Okay, what are you using the other person for? The third one, how to stop using friends, family, people around you. It's not. I think the person going through something now. That's okay. That's normal. It's life. Okay. But I don't know why the person, he or she, I also don't know, right? Because as we know, it's anonymous. But the person is facing some big dilemmas, okay, about how to stop using. So is it wrong to love someone because of how they make me feel? That's also an interesting question. Right? I think there is no clear answer to number 4, right? But a lot of people may have different views of that. And so let's see how we can kind of frame some of these struggles that we have with utilitarianism. Okay, so what does John Paul II say in the book? Okay, so most of this come from the book and this idea of a reference to TOB. Okay, so according to JP2, I know JP3 won the book, but JP2 is the one who wrote the book. Okay, the opposite of love is not hate, it's use. That was the first question of the Kahoot. Okay, using someone even emotionally. He actually talks about emotional use inside the book. Okay, reduces their value to utility. It doesn't matter whether it's for the physical sense or emotional sense, it's still used. And authentic love, also inside the Kahoot, seeks the good of the other for their own sake. So this is quoting cross-reference from TOB. Desiring love is natural. That one is referring to the previous question. Is it okay, to want to be loved? And desiring love is natural, but it must be purified. So it's okay to want to be loved, but it must be purified. And true love is self-give, not self-seeking. Not easy lah, definitely not easy. But I think that's kind of like what we can try and work towards wherever we are in this current journey. And this one is a direct quote from the book. The person is a good towards which the only proper and adequate, meaning that's the fullness, right? The full attitude you can have towards a person is love, not use. Okay, so the word use doesn't come out anywhere okay, in the fourth point. So maybe you can just sit with some of these points, okay, before we go to the follow-up questions. Okay, then we can discuss in our small groups. Okay, but these are the main points. I put it in pink color because I like pink. Okay, pink color and bold it. Yeah, that's a teacher thing. Bold the main points. Never know, right? May have another Kahoot at the end, right? Another mystery book maybe hiding under the table. We don't know. Right, so that's why I must pay attention. Yeah. So opposite of use, love is not hate. And then the last quote, I think people are quite aware. So let's look at the next. Trying to go back there. Okay, this one is interesting. Wow, this one was interesting, man. I gotta put this in the slides, man. Yeah. So someone talk about appreciating beauty. Okay. Is it wrong to find someone else attractive, even though we are already attached? Okay, that's interesting. Often and an honest ladybug say, praise also see attractive women, and they can praise God for the beauty of creation. I don't know who is honest ladybug. Is this the same person as that gave the other comment for the other question? Not sure. But probably eager beaver. See, only these two few animals are very interested in responding to people. Okay? The ladybug, the beaver, and the agile something. I can't remember. Okay. It's normal to be attracted. Oh, thank you. This is real, okay? But do not act out, right? From that place of attraction. So this person not bad. This eager beaver, I gotta give it to eager beaver, he or she, saying some real stuff, okay? Real truths, okay? Not JP2. This one is a person inside, probably this room, responded, okay, to the padlet. So we got collective wisdom, okay? Set your boundaries, and all persons know one-to-one meet up, okay? Fair enough. Limit contact. Okay, all this texting, the DMing, Instagram, all this okay, unfollow them. Don't do what leads you down the rabbit hole. Quite true, that's true. I think that's quite right. Be accountable with trusted friends. So it's a whole I would say combination of things to win the war, you need a lot of things around you to help you to resist, the urge and the inclination. I think that's what eager beaver so eager, got 4 lines of response. Eager people to get an extra prize from me, but I don't know who is eager people. Okay, but never mind. See, eager people already featured twice inside the link. So what's our follow-up questions? Okay, these do not have to be the follow-up question that you want to discuss. You can actually respond to what eager people said. Okay, but one question is, what does selfless look like? Selfless love look like in your daily friendship or your relationship, if it applies? Can helping someone grow ever turn into using them? This one, helping someone grow, is like when you're very interested in the potential, right, of people. You want to help them grow. You want to be a good Christian, good Catholic, for example. I'm there to develop them. Okay, that's interesting. Up to you to discuss this. Could it ever turn into using them? Maybe using them in a sense of making you feel important, making you feel needed or something. You can explore this. Or if you want, I can go back and I can show you eager beaver's response. Yeah, and you can discuss that too. Okay, so this one is eager beaver. I go back. Eager beaver is can appreciate the beauty or not, can or not. Got something wrong or not? Honest ladybug already talk about trees. Okay, so you can think about that, or you can explore this question. So we give you another 10 minutes or so just to pass in your small groups. Okay. Okay, the CCC has to say about it. Okay, so the church says that SSA itself is not sinful, right? It refers to a condition or an experience, and what matters is how we respond to it, right? So the church teaches that all people are called to chastity, including those with SSA. So this is from the CCC, these articles 2357, 259. And affirming someone's dignity and loving them as a person is good. Yeah, I think that one most of us agree with that. But acting sexually on these desires goes against the created meaning of the body and the procreative design of sex. Okay? So I'm not sure about you, but how do you square point 3 and point 4 together? Okay? The fact that you affirm someone's dignity and you love them as good, but acting on that sexual desire is going against the created meaning. But the CCC also says point 4, which is that every sign of unjust discrimination in their regard, referring to SSA, right, should be avoided. Okay, so there's a lot of we all sit on a different place, I think, in the continuum. I think, but it's something that I think is very real, right? I'm sure that we know people, maybe even our friends, very close friends with SSA, and we also wonder, like how and what place, for example, maybe does the church have, So, wait. Okay. So this is the follow-up question. You can take this to your discussion. Right. So how can the church be a place of both truth and compassion for those with SSA? And what does real friendship and love look like beyond just physical desire? So I think this one maybe we just give it maybe 6 to 7 minutes or so. And after that we can come back for team number 4. Right, so I think it's maybe something that we can think about. If we're not comfortable to share, we can maybe wait for the next team. But for now, maybe you can discuss maybe your own thoughts about the team in your small groups. Then we will come back for team number 4. Okay. Anyway, okay. So I think we can maybe we come back together. Okay. So we're gonna do our 4th team. Okay. I'm really happy to hear all the discussion. Okay. So this one is the 4th team. Okay. So I'm just gonna put it over here. Okay, for everybody to take a look. So the microphone not working, so I'm trying to project. Okay. So the 4th team, I think that people were very interested about these 3 things: discernment, commitment, and marriage preparation. So a lot of people were interested in how to discern, romantic relationships. A lot of people talk about, fear of commitment, cohabitation, and whether certain desires like not wanting children are compatible with the Catholic view of marriage. So the first one was about what signs should I look for, when discerning a breakup. Number 2, is it okay to love someone but not want to commit yet? Okay, these are all from the Padlet. If I have no desire to have children, should I stay unmarried? And number 4, how can we find potential partners who do not fear? Okay, that's true. Oh, it's a big one. A big one. Okay, let's see what the what the church says about it. Okay. Okay. Okay, the first one is dating is a time of discernment, not absolute commitment. And it's okay to part ways if you realize there's a misalignment, okay, in faith, goals, or virtue. And marriage involves the intention to be open to life. So they'll kind of share that with you, right, if you go for marriage prep. And if a couple deliberately excludes children, wow, this one is from Humane Vitae, yeah, okay, this is a Vatican document, the marriage may be invalid. Okay, cohabitation before marriage is discouraged. It says say discouraged lah. Well, so it does happen. Okay. And the reason why is it confuses the meaning of the marital covenant and increases, the opportunities for temptation. And in the CCC, this is just one of the points that they highlight. The family is the original cell of social life lah. So I guess we could discuss, any of these points or maybe some of the questions from the previous slide. And I'm just going to show you the follow-up questions. So you can talk about the fear of commitment one lah, if you want. If you have lots of thoughts about that, please do share. Yeah. Okay. Or you can talk about these two questions. What qualities for you matter most in a potential spouse? And how does one discern God's will in relationships? So now please go and start talking about the fear of commitment. Yes, 15 minutes. Okay, so I think just also for benefit of people online also, so we're going into our last theme, okay, for today. Okay, I think that will round out our discussion, okay, of the main themes. Okay, so our last one is about beauty, attraction, and emotional integrity. Right, the theme was how to manage attraction responsibly. Okay, don't laugh at the second question, it's a real question. Okay, especially when in a relationship. Yeah. I don't know, somebody wrote that, and then there were very interesting responses which I didn't put up here. Okay? Yeah, so first one is it wrong to find someone else attractive? That one we saw from the previous, the agile beaver and all those animals, okay, the zoo was it? Eager beaver and the agile something, okay? Then why do the good and sweet girls like the bad hot guys? Okay, don't know lah. Okay, without is something we can discuss. Okay, is pleasure derived from witnessing the pleasure of the other using the other? It's not very like, wow, very interesting. Many layers to this. Yeah. Okay. Very interesting question. Okay. But I think very telling also of what is on our mind. You see, that's why the panel is anonymous. Okay. Okay. So, what I think the points that we want to actually look at. Okay, my point form a little bit off, but I think the first thing that we need to recognize is noticing beauty is natural, right? When we see beauty in the created world, right, it's natural for us to notice it. But lust turns beauty into an object for gratification. So I think we've talked about the concept of use object, right? The use. Okay. But love recognizes beauty as a sign pointing to the creator. Right. So I think a lot of people often confuse these emotional highs or this fantasy, there's this idolization with love. But what TOB invites us to do is to grow in our own emotional maturity and to understand that the desire is a path to self-mastery. And then we have one biblical reference, okay, from Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart. So if you want to talk about question 2 in the discussion time, please feel free, okay, to do so. If not, you can actually consider these follow-up questions. Okay. So what does it mean to see others with the eyes of Christ? And how do I build some of these habits of purity in the way that I look at others? And that's very linked to the second question. Okay, so we give you maybe 10 minutes or so. Just have a quick buzz. Then after that, we'll round up the session. Okay, so I think we can slowly wrap up our discussion. I think there's a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot of food for thought. And I think it's important for us to continue this discussion. Okay. Yeah, so we've done our discussion. This was the Padlet. If you want to refer to the original Padlet, you can read the anonymous beavers and agile animals. Okay, so you can read the full Padlet if you want to scan the code, or if you have new questions, you can add on to the Padlet as well. I'll be happy to read it because every time we have a new response, it triggers my email. So I will see the new like so many notifications. I'm going to disable that. So yeah, in case you're paiseh, you can key your question or you want to read the full extent of what FYA has said over the past 3 sessions, also inside there. Okay? Yeah. So we don't know what the plans are for 2026. Maybe more TOB. Alright, so we'll kind of collect your feedback also to see whether this is also something that you want to look into.